What's good, Fire Gang? Your chief fire starters, LaTeisha and Dr. Barbz, are here with Catch This
About
Fire.
it. So we want to talk about risk taking. And we need to talk about this because sometimes when you call yourself being smart, you're really just being scared. And we have to take risk in order to move forward in our lives. I mean, honestly, everything we do is a risk. Just getting up in the morning and driving your car is a risk. You never know.
Absolutely.
So we want to make calculated risk. And there's some stats that I kind of looked up before we got started on this, Letitia, that I wanted to share. And I think it's important because what's going on out in the world is it's kind of scary right now. So, did you know that 1.6 million people are laid off? And it makes me think about kind of what kind of risks those people could probably take in this time in order to move to the next level because being laid off is very devastating.
It is.
40% of Americans have been laid off at least once in their life. So the idea of this is a safe job is truly a myth. I also found a statistic that 82% of people are burnt out. They're just playing it safe to just keep going in life. And that's tough, to be that many people burnt out is wild.
It
And
is.
then I also found a statistic that 61% of young adults report anxiety about job security, saying things like we're all scared anyway, honestly might as well be scared about something. So let's take the right risks so that we can move forward in our lives. And I know I kind of come from a kind of a work professional aspect a lot of the times, but there's also risk in your other parts of your life too, whether it's something in your marriage or something with your kids, just personal stuff as well. So let's dive in to talking about taking risks. I think where I would start is just saying that playing it safe is the riskiest thing you can do. And that sounds kind of wild because playing it safe shouldn't be risky, but I think it is.
It
When
is.
you,
I
it
completely
is.
agree.
Yes. And so a lot of times we risk our potential, our growth, our purpose, our future self being able to evolve into the journey that we were meant to evolve into because we're so busy playing it safe and not taking the risks that we were supposed to take.
Yes.
And so, I mean, I could tell y'all so many stories about risk that I ended up taking and times where I didn't take the risk. And I feel like I prolonged my evolution because I probably could have got to where I needed to go faster if I had taken the risk in the first place. And yes, right? And what I've also noticed is that when I don't take the risk that I'm supposed to take, that lesson keeps circling back until I do it.
That part. That
Yes.
part.
Yes.
Yes.
And so I could tell y'all so many stories about things, but I feel like there's a whisper. There's a whisper that happens. And sometimes, people call it like it's the divine. Sometimes it's your gut. Like, I don't, whichever way you're thinking, but you hear or you feel that thing that you're supposed to do. And when you don't do it, you, that lesson comes back. It just does.
I mean, it's actually both or all of the above
Yeah.
because you have intuition, right? So where do you get your
Yes.
intuition from, right? It's from, whatever you have the higher power that you have, whatever you might believe, the things that you've experienced kind of give you this, this peripheral vision or this 20, this extra vision or whatever the case, right? So it's all of
Yeah.
the above. And yes, absolutely, because you are hit that nail on the head. When you don't take the risk the first time, guess what? It's gonna come back around and come back around and come back around. And ultimately, if you would have took the risk to begin with, you would have probably compacted the time. You know what I'm
Yes.
saying? Umpteen years because just because you don't take it then doesn't mean that you're never gonna have to take it.
Hmm. Yeah. Um, and there's ways to take risk, right? Um, I'm not saying like just leap and jump and not have a plan, but
Mhm.
um, I, I I have leaped and jumped without a plan before, and it worked out
Yes.
because I was given that instruction, whether it was my intuition or from a higher power. I was told to do this thing, and so I did it, and it worked out well. So being a calculated risk taker can be very important because, for example, I know there's things that I do that people are just like, "Wow, you just did this thing," but I've been thinking about this thing for a while, and I'm
Yes.
just now executing it and taking the risk that I knew I should have took years ago, but
Yep.
you just now seeing it because you didn't know about it, and it seems riskier to you because I didn't share that with you before I did it.
And that's strategic also, right? That's purposely done because just think about if you shared half of the thing, if we shared half of what we've considered, contemplated, be thinking about, a lot of people wouldn't be able to keep up. One, two, a lot of individuals will try to talk you out of it. And three,
Mhm.
everybody has this idea of what is best for you, right?
Yeah.
And like you've also stated several times before, and in her book, ladies and gentlemen, that other people inflict their ceiling on you. Just
Yes.
because that's your limit does not mean that that's my limit, right? So yes, like it's I'm not. I didn't tell you. Was I supposed to? Like, was I supposed
I
to
don't
make
have
sure you
to.
know it? I don't have
No.
to
Yes,
support me or
yes.
not.
Yeah, and a lot of times you have to protect those things that are, like, really close to your heart, and because there's these things what I call spark dimmers, and so, as Letitia kind of alluded to, I am close to finishing a book that I wrote called The Courage to Set Fires. And in this book, I talk a little bit about spark dimmers. These are people that will try to talk you out of whatever it is that you're trying to do. And a lot of times it's not because they don't want you to be successful. What I've learned over time is that a lot of people who are spark dimmers dim your spark because they have a limitation for themselves and they're trying to protect you from being hurt, or they just don't see the path as clearly as you do. And so they're trying to protect you from letdown. Or maybe they tried that thing before and it didn't work out for them. So they're trying to give you that advice because they don't think it'll work out for you. And so it's that ceiling that they've encountered for themselves for whatever reason that they're trying to protect you from. And so they will try to talk you out of whatever it is and give you plenty of reasons why you can't do it. Sometimes they just do it because they're being mean too, or they have some sort of ulterior motive.
Yes.
I've seen that
Or
before.
yeah, all the time, all the time. Well,
Hmm.
I wouldn't do that if I were you, or, that doesn't make any sense to me. It's not supposed to make sense for you because the thing about it is, again, when I make a decision, I have to live with the consequences. I have to deal with whether the consequences are good or bad, whatever the outcome is on a decision that I make. I have to deal with it. And then that's where
Hmm.
the issue comes in that because we get talked out of things, we get inflicted with fear, right? Because they might be scared. So they're telling us, oh my gosh, you're gonna do that. I can't believe it. And this, and this. So then you start thinking, like, well, damn, is this a good idea? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Versus if you really don't say anything and you go back and forth with it and you contemplate and you pray and you meditate and you do all these things yourself, right?
Hmm.
I'm going to sit with this myself. I'm going to make sure I'm going to sit down with my pro and con list. I'm going to sit down with my I can't think of the name of it, but it's the best of the worst of the best, the worst of the worst. Like I'm going to weigh all this out myself
Right.
because again, at the end of the day, whether it works out or not, I'm gonna have to deal with it. And then I'm gonna ask you this though. I'm gonna ask you this. Out of all the risks that you've taken, that you've prolonged, that you've just jumped into the risk without any actual concrete plan, how, if you could give it to me in a percentage, how much or how many of those things did not work out in the end?
Ooh, that's a good one. How many didn't work out in the end? Not very many. Um, and they're not always meant to work out. There's just a lesson to learn so that you're ready for the next endeavor. I
Absolutely.
had
Yeah.
right, like a little bit about me. Like I started a business a long time ago at a spin studio. And it was what we call a brick and mortar, meaning I had to open up a location so that people could come and spin. So, riding the bikes to hip hop music and and it was super fun. It was super fun. But it happened right before COVID, and honestly, we wouldn't have made it through COVID if we had continued. But I learned so many lessons from that, as well as some other endeavors that I participated in, from participating in like different associations and being on boards and things of that nature where I had to fill out paperwork for starting a business and getting that EIN number for tax purposes. Like I created business plans and protocols and policies. So then you fast forward to where you're like, okay, I have this idea. I think this is really my purpose. All of that led me to be able to execute this particular idea with precision.
Yes.
And if I had not done those things in the past, I wouldn't be prepared for what I'm going to do now. And sometimes it's not meant to work out. There's a lesson there that you're supposed to learn to prepare you for the future. But so I wouldn't even call those failures, to be honest.
Exactly. Yes.
Oh,
Because
you
you
was
still
leading
got
me on a
something
little
from
bit,
it.
Letitia. I see what you're doing.
Yes. So even though it might not have gone how we planned it to, right? Or
Yeah.
it didn't last as long as you thought it would, or whatever the facts, whatever the case, the fact still remains that you got something from it. So ultimately, it's like one of those things, a long time ago, it was years ago, the whole thing was, but did you die? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like
I still say
that's
that.
the
What? Yes.
it was years and years ago. I guess you would consider it like a reel or a meme or I don't even really know, but it was like a
Yeah.
saying that was everybody was saying that was like something something, but did you die? Like
Right.
it
Yes.
didn't kill you. You're still here. So that is an indication to keep going. I think
Yeah.
that when we think about risk, we think about it all being detrimental and it's not, right? I can take a risk and whether it works out the way that I planned it to, ultimately, I've learned something from it. So I
Mhm.
still have gained something in the end, right? Even if it's just the experience. A lot of times we feel like we waste our time with people because we stay around too long or we
Mm.
get too comfortable or whatever and we don't want to take the risk to leave or we don't want to take the risk to jump all the way in, but ultimately you've experienced this individual to whatever capacity they were able to provide their experience, right? You experienced them, so then like you said, now I know I don't want to do this again. Yeah, I can do this again, or I would like to do something like this again, right? Say for
Mhm.
instance, I went on my first cruise last year during spring break, right? It was great, wonderful. At the end of the day, would I do it again? Yes, but I wouldn't do it for that long. I wouldn't have that experience or even be able to say what I would prefer to do if I'd never done it. Did I
Yeah.
hear people telling me, oh my gosh, you're going to be that far away from land and, it's hurricanes and, the boat could do this or the ship could do this and blah, blah, blah. Then you have so you got six people saying one thing, then you got the other half saying it was the great experience ever. You're going to love it and I would do it again every chance I get, blah, blah, blah. So again, I could sit here and be torn between either one, but at the end of the day, I know that going on a cruise was going to be a risk, right? But I have to figure out if that risk is worth taking for me or not.
Yeah. Yeah. And you have to have your own experience in order to actually gauge whether or not, like, really what the risk is, because everyone has their own opinions, but very rarely are they based in actual facts.
Exactly.
Yes, especially now in
Exactly.
2025, a lot of stuff has no factual basis that people
No
say, especially on
research to
social
that.
media. None, none. Not none, right? And we make decisions based on these things.
Yep.
And if you had just done it for yourself, you would have figured out whether you liked it or didn't like it. Was it good? Was it not good? Was there really that big of a risk or was there not? You don't know until you do it for yourself. And so I'm for like calculated risk, but sometimes I'm what I'm calling instinct risk taker where I just jump in and sometimes I describe myself as the person who's gonna just jump in the pool fully dressed, don't care. I'm just gonna jump in because I just gotta see. I just want to know what's in there.
Same.
You know,
Same.
the other thing that I say a lot, I don't know if you've ever said this before, but I tell people all the time, like, go get your no. Go get your no. What's the worst they can say to you if you
Yes.
were to do that thing that you
Yes.
are wanting to do? No. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for your time. And if you have
And
a
move
little bit
on.
more courage, you might ask for some feedback. But, right? And then you're
Yes.
prepared for the next one. But even without feedback, a lot of times you can kind of gauge how that went. Kind of answers you had, whether or not they hit or they didn't. You can tell by body language and facial expressions, kind of read the room. But go get your no. Go get your no.
I've heard something definitely similar to that where I think it was like a coach or something. They were like, you need to count your no's versus your yeses. Because if you've gone out there, kind of like how you're saying, if you've asked and you've presented and you've done this and that, whatever, you're going to have no's, right? To
Mhm.
gather feedback, to see what did or didn't work. And then that'll let you know that you're really putting the work in versus you trying one or two times, you get a no, and then that's it. Right? Because ultimately
Yeah.
you'll get a yes. And then if you don't, that just means you need to re-strategize or to probably, go back to the drawing table, which is okay too. But if you don't get a no at all or count the no's that you get, you won't even know. You won't even have any type of
Yeah.
data or research to make this thing better.
Seriously, like, I remember when I was going to get my first labor and delivery nursing job, and so I'm going back a long time ago. When I had first finished nursing school, I was able to quickly find a position, in what they call medical surgical, which is kinda like basic foundational nursing. I wanted to be a labor and delivery nurse. My grandma was a postpartum nurse, so she took care of the moms right after they delivered their children. I thought she was a labor nurse when I was growing up though, because I used to hang out with her at the hospital. I remember kind of hanging like going to go see her back when you could do that. You can't do that
Yeah.
anymore. But the 80s were different. But anyways, um I wanted to be a labor and delivery nurse. I went to school for a labor and delivery nurse. That is what I'm going to go do. Do you know how many applications I put in to be this particular type of nurse? And back then, you had to have like 1 to 2 years of experience before they would even talk to you, And like, where do you find experience doing the thing that you have no experience in if nobody will hire you without experience? It was wild. And
Right.
so I went and got so many no's before I finally got that yes. But if I had given up, I would have never actualized that particular passion that I had.
Yep.
Fast forward, I wanted to be an educator. I wanted to educate everybody in nursing. And I remember putting application after application. My first one, I did get an interview, but they told me no. And then going forward, I feel like I did at least 10. And they all said no. They were like, no, you're not ready. No, you don't have the experience yet. Whatever the reason was. But I kept going. But you know what I did do? Is then I kind of took a step back and said, what is it that's causing them to say no to me? And so I went and I learned some more. I got a certification in some stuff. I went and learned the lingo so that I could speak it during the interview. I practiced interviewing questions. I thought about my strengths and weaknesses and how I could spin them to make them more strengths than weaknesses all the time. And I really like prepped myself. And so then when I finally went in for that last educator interview, I could speak the language better than they could. I could tell you what you should do better than they could. And I was so prepared that they offered me the position pretty much on the spot. And so you have to take those risks. I know, right? And then from there, it just continued. I ended up like teaching at the university and being like a program administrator and all these other things. But if I had given up with that first no or just not tried it all, I wouldn't be sitting here today with the experience that I have, you
Yes.
know?
Yes. And the thing
Yeah.
about taking a risk is the time is going to pass anyway. So whether I take it now, I take it 2 years, I take it 5 years, like time is going to keep going. It's not going to just stop because you didn't take the risk now. And ultimately, it's burning your soul that you didn't take the risk. You sit there miserable, mad, or whatever the case because you didn't do this thing because of whatever reason, right? Whether it's fear, whether it's sometimes we get survivors guilt, you know what I'm saying? We feel resentful, whatever the reason is you don't take the risk. Again, the time is gonna pass. So go ahead and take
Mhm.
it now. If you whether you're a calculator risk taker or calculated risk taker or not, because there are times that I am both. Sometimes I'm just jumping right on in. And I didn't jump in necessarily with my clothes on. I would just jump in not knowing if it was shallow or deep.
I don't even take
Right?
them off. I'm just like, "Let's go."
Yes, I'm taking mine off, but I don't know how deep it is. I don't know how shallow it is. I don't know if there's a tide coming in. I don't know if this body of water is going to take me to a waterfall. I'm just sitting
Yeah.
there, just having a
Yes.
ball. You hear?
Yes. Yes. But you don't know what it is until you get in there, right?
Yes. Yes.
And then, like, I do wanna kind of give space for people who have stuff going on, right? I mean, sometimes it's hard to take the risk when you have certain responsibilities. I'm a mom, and so I have to think about how that certain things would affect my children. And do I really have the time for it? Can I maneuver that and still work my full time job? I can't just quit my job right now. I have bills to pay. And when I was married, I have a whole husband at home. Like, how does that affect him? And so there's certain things that you do have to think about. And so I do get it. So I do want to make space for that because there's certain things that I did want to do at certain times that I had to kind of push back because of
Yes,
some of those things. But I don't think you should let those things prevent you from moving forward. You just got to start strategizing to figure out how to do the thing that it is that you want to do with those barriers in place. So, how do I
absolutely.
maneuver around that barrier? How do I get over that barrier? What is the plan for that? And sometimes that plan means it ain't going to happen for 5 years. And that's okay.
That's okay. However, while that 5 years is passing or going by, like you said, let's be strategic and use our time effectively. Let me
Mm-hmm.
take another class. Let me put some more money up. Let me, get to whatever it is, right? Maybe I want to lose weight. Maybe I want to gain weight. Maybe I want to have a certain dollar amount saved up or whatever it is. Let's not waste the time because I feel like sometimes what we end up doing is if we have to prolong taking this risk, we do nothing in that time frame, and then when the opportunity presents itself, we're not prepared. You have to be prepared with what you ask for. You have
Yes.
to strategically get ready because if you are
Yes.
really serious about what you want to happen, you already waking up like it has already happened before. You don't just sit back and say, "Oh well, you know what? I can't do it in 5 years, so I'll start getting ready in 5 years." You don't do that when it's time to
Yes.
go out of town. You don't do that when it's time to go to work. You know what I'm saying? You don't do that when it's
Yes.
time to show up for these kids and this man. You ready, Johnny on the spot, looking good, smelling good, mind together. You know what I'm saying? You got all the snacks in the bag. You got your
Yes.
heels on, all that. What's the difference? You know what I'm saying? And
Yes.
again, it kind of goes back to something we talked about in the previous episode. We can show up fully and even more for someone else, but we neglect to do that for ourselves. So
Mhm.
and like you said, yes, I do agree that sometimes we do have to prolong the risk taking. That doesn't mean it's eliminated. That doesn't mean you don't take it. It might look a little bit different when you take it later, right? But that doesn't mean you
Mhm.
don't take it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I love what you said about preparing for the risk because this actually happened to me not so long ago where long story short, I applied for a certain position, I was passed over, lots of drama ensued, but I had within the time that I had started the position until I interviewed for this different lateral move, I had obtained, I think, 2 certifications in something, whether it was executive leadership or professional development. I had finished my PhD. I had done a lot of different continuing education courses. I was prepped and ready to move the fuck on. And so, because I did not obtain that particular position, I was primed and ready to get another position elsewhere. So, when I decided, look, I'm going to take the risk and I'm going to let, listen, y'all not letting me go. I'm going to let y'all go.
Yes, yes, yeah,
That's literally what happened. I was like, "That's cool. I'm gonna go ahead and let y'all go."
yep,
So I'm putting my little notice, and I'm gonna go ahead and start looking elsewhere. And no, they wasn't happy with me. They was mad at me because I was leaving, and fine, right? But I decided to take that risk of I know there's something else out there for me that is aligned with who I am and where I'm going, and I'm going to take that risk. And I
yes,
did, and it worked. It worked out because I was ready. I was ready.
yes.
There's this thing that I say all the time, which is the safe choice costs you too.
If that ain't the truth, right? Because a lot of times we try to live in what's comfortable. We try to be because we're used to it, and just think about how many times or how long you've stayed in something because it felt comfortable, because you knew what to expect, regardless of how chaotic or dysfunctional it was, you stayed because, well, this is what I know, right? Because we're scared to take the risk to learn something else or be around something new and all that kind of stuff. So yes, the biggest one is the most comfortable, because and what I have to start telling myself is nothing happens in your comfort zone. You're not gonna learn, you're not gonna grow, you're not gonna experience, you're not gonna do any of
Mhm.
that. And even though when I took a risk in my 20s, they were a little bit different than the ones that I would, there, I guess they were less calculated, or I did look at the long term effect, maybe, right? However, what now that I now when I take them, and when I took them then, they definitely keep me alive. It makes me feel like
Yeah.
I'm actually living. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm a person, like I'm here. Because I know, like in my 20s, I would, do a bungee cord, or you know what I'm saying, meet somebody out of town, and we set a wedding date. Don't know this man from a can of paint. You know what I'm saying? That's the type of stuff that I have done, no exaggeration. Versus now, I might take the risk to maybe talk to you for a while, but I'm not going to have a date
Yeah.
set. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or I might support you with going to bungee jump, but I'm not gonna do it unless it has the big thing that they use under the people have to jump out the fires or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm still gonna do things to try to keep me alive, but not near death.
Got you. Oh my God. Because we have more wisdom now too, and experience to make some really calculated
The other
decisions.
thing that
That
I
I like to say about the safe choice costs you too, is not just about like, for me, I speak a lot about workplace stuff, but staying in relationships that are killing you slowly. I think, I don't know, do we have some experience there?
girl, do we?
Um,
Do we? From a job to a friendship to a man, the intimate
yes,
absolutely.
yes.
Goodness
Listen
gracious.
to y'all's intuition, y'all. When you know that that man ain't right for whatever reason, you know that that's not the right relationship for you. The longer you stay in it, the harder it is to get out of it. I tell you that much. Um, Not trying to throw shade anywhere, but because that came out a little shady. My
It
bad.
wasn't shady.
No,
It
it
came out
felt
like you felt
shady. I
it.
didn't
Yeah,
mean it to
you
be
felt it
shady.
though. You
Yeah,
that came from your soul right there.
yeah. Let me think. Hold on, y'all. Let me get it. Let me find it. Let me find it. Wait, nope, it's just gonna be shady. So, no, but seriously, I will tell you this. Oh, this is too much information. But my ex-husband and I are like truly good friends. We are the best of friends. And it's very interesting we're able to be really good friends. Like I value that friendship so much. Um But I think if he was being honest and I was being honest, we probably should have ended the marriage a long ass time ago. Um, I don't know if what he yeah, I don't know. I don't know how he was if he would say I don't know, because your girl is pretty popping. But no,
Exactly.
but seriously, it's like, the risk of ending a very, 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 very long relationship is hard to do. And there's so many things that you're thinking about. And it is risky. I mean, what if you're making the wrong choice? We've been doing this for this long. Like, why are we even considering that? And then you're thinking, okay, what about the kids? What about the people? What about all the people that know that you've been married for a very long time and they consider you to be uh, the couple?
Yep.
But there's just so many things that go into that. But the longer you stay in it and not take the risk, when like I knew, but I
Yeah.
stayed there for
Yeah.
whatever reason, and it just ticks at you. No shade, no shade. Call me later. On my bad. I'm sorry. We're good.
But this is a part of your story though, right? Like this is it's and it doesn't have to be shade. It's not to be, funny or hurtful or anything, but this is your story. And I think that it's important for us all to remember, like, it's okay for you to share your story. You're not trying to be hurtful, harmful, or anything like that to anybody else, but this is your story, you know?
Yeah, yeah,
Like you said, I mean, hell, you wasn't perfect. You know what I'm saying? You're not perfect
mhm,
now. So that's why it's good to get it out. If this is the truth, if this is your truth, say it. So, like, again, I can definitely relate to staying in situations, relationships. I most definitely have done that. Knowing good and dang on well, I don't even, we don't even have our flag with us, but I'm talking
Yes.
about they was just getting thrown in
Red
my
flag,
face.
red flag.
You hear me? Just thrown in my face, just, and I'm like, oh, look at the confetti. You know what I'm saying?
Yes,
Like,
yes. Look at
oh
all
my
the
gosh,
pretty
it's raining red
flags.
flag. Yeah,
Yes,
like
yes.
girl, at the same time, I did survive that, so now I am able to thrive. I did
Listen.
overcome those things and heal parts of me that were even, um, first of all, allowing that to even be a part of my life, and on top of even attracted some of that mess that I was attracting. You know what I'm saying? I
Mm,
remember being in a
mm.
relationship, and it's kind of like how you said, I felt it, I knew it, like it was there. Not you sit back and you done crossed your leg and everything,
Mm.
girl.
Girl, you
But
speak
yes,
like
I in it, you know what I'm saying, and knew good and
yes.
doggone well to where it was to the point to where I physically felt myself starting to become not necessarily ill, but I could feel the change. Like, when they say certain things, you get that deep pit in your stomach, or the phone rings and you see who it is, and your heart goes to your stomach, or you start getting this sense of dread come over your
Mhm,
body. Like,
mhm.
it's your mind is going to tell you, right? And then you try to talk your
Yeah,
mind out of it, and then you end up tricking your mind. But you're not going to be able to continue to fool yourself, because it's going to show up in other ways. You know what I'm saying? You
yeah.
start to get snappy over here, or upset over there, or you don't recognize yourself, or either you're eating too much or you ain't eating at all. And you know what I'm saying? So then at one point, you just
Mhm.
wake up one day like, you know what? I'm giving zero fucks about this. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna take this risk, and I'm going to deal with it, because if I've overcome all of this, there's no reason why I can't overcome any of this. You know what I'm
Girl,
saying?
listen. Yes, yes, yes. And I love kind of what you're saying because sometimes you don't take the risk, and that's okay too, because you still haven't learned the lessons that you need to learn in order to take the risk that you need to take.
Hello.
And so
Hello.
that healing and those lessons need to happen before you are ready to move on. And that's okay.
Because then when you're ready, you don't have that second guessing thing like, dang, should I have done that?
Oh
That you
no.
you know. You
You
like, yep,
know, I know. Yes. Yes.
done.
Yes.
This is it.
Yes.
We out of
Yes.
here.
When you finally make that decision and you stand on business because you
Yep.
know it's the right decision.
Yep.
Okay, bro, let's do a little bit of this or that because I'm curious as to kind of what we think about certain things. So this or that just means that I'm gonna give us, and you might have some too, but I'm gonna give us two options.
Okay.
And we have to decide which one we would take. And they might be equally risky. So
They
let's
might
see.
be. They
Okay.
might be.
Um, oh, we kind of already talked about some of these. Ooh, no. Ooh, okay, wait. No.
You go first and then I'll go.
Okay, I got one. Confront the toxic family member and blow up the entire family, or keep quiet and keep sacrificing yourself. What you gonna do?
I have done both.
Okay.
I have definitely done both. When I have keep the peace, it's more so like you just don't say anything. You know what I'm saying? You just
Mm-hmm.
kind of go with the flow, and you like, oh, that's just grandma such and such, or that's just how Uncle Joe Blow is. I'm not saying these are not real names, okay, people. These are not real names, but that's just how Aunt Susie is. Oh, they're just old or whatever, and you just because you want to keep the peace. So then that individual might be toxic to everybody. Maybe they're not toxic to
Mm-hmm.
me personally, right? At the end of the day, you still are seeing the effects of what this person is doing. So I've been the person to address some of the toxicity. Blew up, they upset, I'm upset, I'm crying, you know what I'm saying? Everybody's like, "What happened? What is going on?" "Oh my goodness."
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And then I've
Yeah.
also been the person to kinda do both at the same time. Like, Imma call you out. I'm still gonna try to keep the peace, because A couple of these other ones wanna get on your head, you know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
However, you are the reason, but I ain't gonna let them do it. You know, feel me? Imma
Yeah.
keep the peace, Imma make sure we try to be cool. You wrong though, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
So, I feel like, there's space for both. At the end of the day, keeping the peace, but whose peace are we keeping?
Not
Whose
yours.
peace whose peace exactly? And 9 times out of 10, if I feel the toxicity, it is happening to someone else. And then this is where it comes in where we're now the elders in our families, right? So we now, and I'm not saying like we're old, I'm saying that
Not
we're the
me.
ones like how you said before though, it's time for us to be the ones to host the events and have Thanksgiving. You know what I'm saying? Because we got like two,
Yes.
three, four generations under us now. Hell,
Mhm.
your little cousin's cousin got kids. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yes, yes.
so that's what I mean by that because I still
Yeah.
have a lot of life left in me. Just FYI, okay?
Yes,
I'm
yes.
definitely still young, still young.
We the old
But
ass
that's
aunties.
where it comes in that what you say,
I said we the old aunties.
literally, literally. But that's where it comes in at our us having to protect the generations that come after us and our own
Mhm.
children at that. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm not saying everybody's family is toxic or dysfunctional, but a lot of us come from some whether it's small or big or whatever, is
Oh, for
some
sure.
is some. So again, at what extent or so whose peace am I really keeping when this needs to be addressed or talked about?
Yeah, for sure. I don't think there's a family out there that doesn't have at least some toxicity somewhere. Somebody up in there being toxic. Um,
Yes.
so I don't know.
Somebody doing something.
Yes, I have tended to be the person who just keeps quiet and then I ain't coming back to that next time. Y'all want to be stupid at Thanksgiving? Well, then I'm gonna have Thanksgiving in my house by myself.
Yep.
Um, that's kind of what I do. It's probably not the
Yeah.
most healthiest behaviors, but I prefer to keep my peace. I'm not about to come up in there and try to fix people who don't want to be fixed.
Facts.
Mm-mm. I
Facts.
don't. Y'all tripping. I don't want any parts of this on my holiday. I'm supposed to be, and it's my off day. You do know how many off days I
That
get?
part.
I'm about to be relaxed at my house, not coming over here with this mess,
Or
so
just pack
okay,
that plate and go on and leave like you said.
yes. Yes, right? And I'm so picky about my food now that I just rather make my own damn food in my house. But either
Anyway,
way is a risk, right? You're either gonna risk
true.
not hanging out with them as much because 'cause you're gonna be silent, or you're gonna be risky by pointing it out, blowing up the piece, everybody's mad, and then we go home with our little turkey dinners mad as hell. So,
My mom
you
used to
gotta
say,
choose.
"That's it. You'll get over it. Look,
Yes,
you'll
they
get over
will,
it."
because 'cause we'll be right back at it on Christmas. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so my turn. You ready?
Yes.
So, this one is one you're in a stable job that's actually killing your soul slowly, right? So, you either keep the paycheck, keep dying inside a little every day to stay safe, or you walk away with no safety net, trust yourself to land somewhere better, risk being broke temporarily.
Eesh. So that one's hard. That's hard. Which risk would I take? I think at this particular time, at this age, I would take the risk of walking away from the position. I can't come to work every day and just be dying slowly. Those moments where you come to work and you sit in the parking lot and your stomach hurts and you just like, your chest is tight and you just like trying to figure it out and you listening to the latest Cardi B just trying to get you pumped up, you know, I want them all dead, pull out their wig. Like you can't and then you come in now, you feeling aggressive and you feeling like pumped up, and people trying to figure out why your face looks like that because, like, I fuck you, bitches. You can't
Yep,
do that every single day and be, um, I don't know, within your purpose. Like, it starts to fuck with you a little bit, right?
it does.
And so for me,
Most
I would have
definitely.
to choose the latter. I would have to put in my notice and leave. Now, with that being said, you need to make sure that you have certain contingencies in place and certain things are in order. You do not just go quit your job, but you got $0 in your savings account. Um, you need to be saving and putting money away. And so when something like this happens, you have a choice. See, the difference between being able to choose those two is having options that are smart. Like, you can't just be broke 'cause now you done lost your house, can't pay the car payment, you can't feed the kids, you standing in the food line trying to get food, and, and I respect everybody who's going through those type of struggles, but why choose that if you don't have to? So, always be in the spirit of preparing for if this might happen. Always be prepared. So, money in the bank, you need to be saving. You need to be getting your credentials up. You need to be getting that other degree if that's something you need for the next job. You need to be taking those courses. Always be preparing because you never know. You never
Never know.
know. Things at work switch so fast
Yep.
that it could be this one thing that happens and then it just feels suffocating and miserable and unbearable at the drop of a dime. Like, it could have
Yep.
been beautiful last week and this week it sucks. And so if you wait until it sucks to start preparing, you ain't gonna be ready. So she prepared, and thankfully she's been prepared. So I'm gonna quit that job and I'm gonna give them, I don't know if I'm gonna give them a piece or the middle finger and be on my way. And look for that next position, because or
Absolutely.
start your own thing. Either way.
That's an option too.
Yes.
That's an
Yes.
option
I will not
too.
be going to that job every day and feeling, I will not.
Because like you said, it really
I will
starts
not.
to mess with your spirit. Like, it starts to
Yes.
mess with, like you said, your purpose and everything. You like, if they say anything to me, I'm cussing them out. Well, hold
You
on
can't do
now.
that
You know what I'm
though,
saying? You can't do that. Like, I'm
Yes.
leaving at this time. Like, you just start to take unnecessary risk because of the fact that you're upset with the job.
No, that's good. You start taking unnecessary risks
Yep.
because you reach 10.
Yep.
At first you're kind of at a 1 or a 2, you feel it boiling, it's growing, it's growing. Once you hit 10, you lose your everlasting mind.
The
And
top has
this
blown.
work, you done cussed all the people out, you done threw the paper across the room, you done did something that now you are in HR
Yep.
explaining yourself, and guess what? HR don't care that you mad about or people nobody
Nope.
cares.
Nobody
You
cares about that.
you reacted inappropriately, and now your ass is getting fired. And now
I literally have done that to where I'm like dang near arguing with somebody, and later on, like, so after this meeting, they're like, "You cannot do that. You need to go
no.
take a walk or something, like, you can't do that," because I'm like, "No, no, it not. No, it's not." Like, and normally, you know how to have discernment, or to just
Yeah.
ignore it or whatever the case, but that's like one of those times, like, I cannot. I'm probably going to, and if I don't leave, they're going to be suspending or firing me, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Because it literally got to that point, and it wasn't like it was just me and this person. Like,
Mhm.
this individual who was technically my superior, you know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
3, 4, 5 other people, and I'm like, you know, this, and no, it's not, and that is not what happened, and you know what I'm saying? And it's like, girl, and so later on, I was like, it's not even that individual, or it's just the entire thing. This is it's
Yeah.
not working for me anymore. And that's
Yeah.
okay. But
Yeah.
again, I was starting to take unnecessary risks there. You know what I'm saying?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
for
No,
sure.
I love that whole idea of unnecessary risk because when
Yep.
you reach a point, you will take an unnecessary risk, whether you believe you will or not, because we've all
Yep.
done it.
We all
Um,
have.
I have as well. Um, but I will tell you that it's fun on your last day to tell somebody "f you."
It is.
Don't do that though. But I've done it too. I've done that too. Um, but just know that now that bridge is burnt and you can't go back to there. So,
Yep.
have at that as you will. So,
Yes.
um, let's do another one. Um, ooh, this one's good. I
Okay.
really want to hear what you have to say. So here's the risk. Risk number 1, date with a broken heart. Risk number 2, stay single forever. Which one should we do?
Well, I'm gonna say, forever is finite, and I don't like the forever thing because I might start healing, and then I might be okay with the relationship. However, I don't think that it's fair to someone else that you
Mm,
get involved with to not be, and let me say this too, when we talk about healing, I don't think it's like a destination that you reach. I think it's something that we continuously go through, or maybe levels, or maybe, you know what I'm saying? Because life is
mhm,
going to life. So we're not going to be exempt from heartache, pain, trauma, or anything like that. Now we can make sure, or we can try our best to eliminate or remove as much as we possibly can, right? But we don't really know or have control of all the variables that happen in our life. We just don't. So
yeah,
I say that to say that I do want to be healed enough where I can be healthy enough to be in a relationship with someone else. So if it means that I'm not healed and I'm not in a healthy place, then I don't need to be with someone else, because I run the risk of unnecessarily harming them, traumatizing them, causing heartache and pain to them. You know what I'm saying? So even though, again, I don't like the finite forever word, I would
mhm,
probably just go ahead and be single and work on myself so that I can, you know, don't run the risk of harming someone else because I'm not healed.
yeah, yeah. No, that's a good answer. Either way, it's risky.
Either way is
Um,
risky.
yeah, yeah. I don't know if I have an opinion either way. Um, I think dating with a broken heart would be very hard because there's a lot of trauma there that you
Yep.
haven't worked out. And so you're going to be an emotional roller coaster. It's going to be up and down and up and down. And this day I feel great. The next, and then you probably have a lot of external validation needs. Um,
Too much. At that
it's
point,
too
too
much. And the
much.
other person
You're gonna be
can't
like, "Oh
be
my
that.
gosh, he didn't respond. Oh my gosh, he responded with 2
Yes.
words. Oh my goodness, he did," like, it's way too much
Yeah. He
versus
just said,
when you
okay. And that was it. No. Oh, I saw this text. I was on social media the other day, and there was like a thread where somebody had shown us all their text from some guy had said good no, the girl said good morning. And the guy said, "Oh no, I don't do good mornings," and just went in on her. And I was like, what in the world is happening? Why is her saying good morning to you such a big deal? Because he has a lot of trauma. He must have something
yes,
happened.
something
And
happened.
that's how people show up when they are in the midst of that and they haven't healed through those things. So,
The last girl
okay.
said good morning, and she was, cheating, laying up with the other dude at the time, so now he's
Must have
traumatized by the
been.
word good
Must have
morning.
been. Good morning. Oh my god.
Alright, you ready for one?
Uh, okay,
You
yes.
wanna
Let's
make
do
this
one
be our
more.
last one?
Yes.
Okay. Last one. You have a savings account. You have a substantial amount in your savings account. Do you, and you also want to, I mean, okay, so do you A, bet on yourself? Okay, let me back up. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You have a savings account and you also have a business, right? So do you want
Uh-huh.
to play it safe and kind of neglect your dream, or do you want to invest in the business? So do you A, bet on yourself, you might lose it all, but you're going to but you might build wealth at the same time, right? Or do you stay secure, watch the dream fade and wonder what if forever?
Oh, so that's easy. I'll pick A. Um, because like I'm very much a dreamer. I'm very much a um there's something out there. There's so much more. You know, there has to be more than what we're doing is kind of how I feel. And so I'm going to go and get that. And I'm going to do everything I can to get that. Now, that doesn't mean I'm going to be dumb and spend every last dollar that I have in my savings account. Like, there has to be a plan and there has to
Yes,
be a cutoff point as to when I
yes.
have to say, okay, hold on, we have to put some stuff, because I feel some type of way about my savings account, LaTeisha. Now,
I know.
you know what I mean? I don't play with that too much now, but if I have some that I can put forth into a business endeavor, I will, but there has to be some sort of cap where it's like, okay, I can't spend that piece because just in case something happens, because also, I got a little bit of trauma in here. If I can't be homeless. I gotta be able to pay my bills. I need my water to stay on.
You
I need
hear
my
me?
electricity to run. Um,
I
I
need
need
my
all my
water to be
streaming.
hot.
I need my water to be
Exactly.
hot.
I need my water
Yes.
to be hot. I need to
Yes.
go in the refrigerator and be able to choose and not be trying to put stuff to yes, I feel you 100%.
Yes.
Yes. I
Yes. And
totally
we've
feel
all
you.
been
Yeah.
through some stuff,
Something.
right?
Yep.
I got to be able to have my car. Can I be asking people to drop me off all the time? I do not want to be the person calling people asking to borrow money,
No.
and we've all been in those situations. And listen, I hear you and I know, that there's people out there probably listening to this that might find themselves in those situations. We've been there. And so once you've surpassed some of that trauma in here is like, "You can't go back. I can't
I
go
ain't going
back. I
back.
can't go back." Yes, I will not go back. It's funny because my oldest daughter had said to me one time, it was just a couple months ago, she said, "Mom, you still have a poverty mindset." And I said, "What does that mean?" And she was like, "You still function like you broke."
Yep.
And I was like, "Well, you never know. I could be broke tomorrow. I gotta make sure that I'm okay." And so, I'm that girl that has like one job, two job, three jobs. Yeah. Remember on Living Color when it's like, how many jobs do you have, mine? And remember that skit with Damon
Tommy was
Wayans?
oh,
It
no,
was
I don't
Damon
remember
Wayne.
that kid.
Was
I
it
just
Damon
remember
Wayans?
Tommy was I felt well, who always had a bunch of jobs?
It was
That was no
this.
the
They was pretending to be Jamaicans and they was at the
okay,
court
okay,
and
okay.
yeah. And so I'm that person who always has to have some sort of backup plan. So with that being said, like I totally get it. Like you have to be strategic. At the same time, I also am a dreamer, so I will go and chase that dream of that business endeavor, especially if it's something I think is going to be meaningful and important and could make a difference. And so I'm gonna spend that money and I'm gonna try. I sure will.
It's gonna get spent one way or the other though. Like I get we have savings, don't get me wrong. Like you said, it's not about just spending it off frivolously just off of whatever. But at some point you're going to it might not be all the way gone, but you're going to spend it on something. And
Hmm.
I feel like you said, if I have a dream to make something happen in my life, then I need to put dang, do I even believe in a dream then if I want to invest in myself?
There it is. Right. You have to invest in yourself.
Yep.
Whether we're talking about money or other ways, like you have to invest in yourself. And if you're not willing to do it, who will?
And that's the thing too, and this might be like a whole different topic, but I've realized that that's what kind of sets people like successful people up. And I'm not talking about money. Like I don't necessarily
Hmm.
like it's success doesn't always equal money or money doesn't always equal success, right? But I'm
Hmm.
saying people that are able to bounce back or, just move on successful. Like I remember hearing about how this multimillionaire or he was a millionaire, I don't know how many multiples, but say he lost like 3 million in one deal,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
so he talks they said that it was the friend telling this story about his colleague, right? And he's like, yeah, my friend, I thought I was gonna talk to him the next day and he was just gonna be like distraught and tripping out and blah, blah, blah. And he wasn't. You know what I'm saying? He was just like, "Yep, it was a bad deal. I made it, I'm now I gotta figure out or, have my mind ready for the next possible good deal." So the story was that maybe a week or month later or something like that, they made this person that lost the 2 million made in another meal like 10 million. You know what I'm
Wow.
saying? So again, like a lot of things that we go through, we don't want to take a risk because we are in our comfort zone. We are scared, the fear, all these different things. At the end of the day, regardless of what happens, I think the point is to continue to move.
Hmm.
Don't dwell in it. I remember hearing I think it was Beyonce to say, I give myself 24 to 48 hours. I've heard successful people just say like Just because I'm
Mhm.
where I'm at doesn't mean that I didn't take any losses, I didn't take any failures. The difference is I continue to move versus being stuck in the failure and not doing anything any different. Because like you said, that's ultimately where you get the lessons from. You learn. I've
Right.
taken plenty of losses. I've dealt with plenty of people I didn't need to deal with where I've lost money, I've lost time, I've lost, you know what I'm saying, my youth. You know what I'm saying? So
Yes.
at the end of the day, though, like I didn't get stuck in it. It hurt. It was messed up. I felt betrayed. All those different things, right? But at the end
Mhm.
of the day, it has not prevented me from taking a risk again.
Yeah, yeah. And I think that's the whole point, right? It's that you have to take the risk in order to move forward, to evolve into that person and that entity that you're supposed to become. If you're unwilling to take those risks, you're going to be stuck and you're not going to evolve through the journey that you were supposed to be taking, the assignment that you were given. You are not taking that assignment because you're so afraid of the risk. And then when you do fail, yes, you're going to fail. You are
Yep.
going to fail. Um, but the way that you handle failure will be the definitive measure as to whether or not you can be successful. You take it in, you have your feelings, you feel, and then you get right back out there and figure out what those lessons were that you
Yes.
needed to take to the next thing. Um, Go ahead.
One I was gonna say one more thing and then we can begin to wrap up because I know it's our
Yes.
time. The people that we see that are successful and that might look like they have it all together and maybe seem like they don't take a lot of risk, or maybe if they do, that it turns out perfectly. No, they're not telling you what they endured, how they what they went through, what they had to overcome. You just kind of see the end results.
Mhm.
So just know that those same individuals, whether it be personally, professionally, celebrity wise, whatever the case, nobody's really telling you about how as much about all the heartache and pain and tumultuousness they went through or they endured. At the end of the day, if they did, they would still tell you it was worth the risk was still worth taking.
Oh, for sure. For sure. I agree. All of the different risks that I've taken, I feel like I've had that emotional response. I let myself feel it. I learned the lesson, and then I came back and did something else, or I applied it, or I tried again. But if I were to stay in that space of I can't do this because of this and this and this, my life would be so much different. And so
Yep.
I do appreciate those lessons. Um, and I also appreciate the spark dimmers. Let's give them a shout out, all you spark dimmers out there. Um, because I see you. I see you for what you are. And I appreciate it. I appreciate you wanting me to learn whatever it is that you want me to learn. What that
Yes.
the wisdom that you're applying to me. Um, but all of you out there need to realize that those are their lessons that they are sharing with you. They're not yours. You still need to go on your own journey and you still need to take your risks that are meant for you to take.
Yes.
Um, yes.
And be careful, and it's no shade to anybody because I know we can learn from anybody. We can learn from the janitor, we can learn from the homeless man on the street, we can learn from the most successful man on the planet, right? But be careful about taking advice from someone, one who doesn't have to deal with any of the consequences or may not have ever experienced anything that you're trying to do. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? It's easy for me to sit on the sideline and tell the football player, you should have passed, you should have ran, you should have punted. I have not played football to a professional at that in any capacity in my life, but I got all the
Yeah.
answers. Are they gonna really listen? You know what I'm trying to say? So that's just
Yeah.
another thing to be mindful of. It
Yes.
doesn't we want to be mindful of who we're going to for counsel and who we're
Oh, that's
taking
good.
advice from.
Yeah. Think about the authority that person has over that particular information. If they don't
Yes.
have authority over that information, thank you for giving me that, but take it with a grain of salt, you know? And even this, let's leave on this one because
Okay.
I think this is important too.
Okay.
Even if they have authority over the information, it might be a completely different time.
That's
It
a
might be a
good one.
completely different time.
That's a good
Think
one.
about your mom and your grandma giving you information that applied to their time. It's
Yep,
a different time. So
totally.
while they're giving you that wisdom, take it, use it, and then decide whether or not or what you need to do, right? So,
Because you can apply some of it, but not all of it.
mhm,
Take
sure
out what you
can.
need and leave the rest.
Yes, take out what you need and leave the rest.
Yep,
I like that.
yep.
Okay, y'all. Letitia, close us up. What do you want to tell the people?
We want to tell the people, first of all, we appreciate you all joining us for yet another episode of Catch This Fire. Whoop, whoop.
Yes.
And we want you all to make sure that you like, share, subscribe, leave a comment, follow us both, social medias. You know where to find us at. We'll have all the information in the show notes. And please join us again next week.
Yes, yes. And please leave us comments. Tell us about those risks that you're taking. Tell us if any of this is hitting and helping you or not. We want to hear all of it. And with that being said, see y'all next week on Catch This Fire.